coaches portion of the call, we go to the number 3 position in the preseason poll with 52 points. The runner-up from last year's Patriot League tournament, the Raiders of Colgate University, under the tutelage now of a first-year head coach, but somebody who's obviously very familiar with the Patriot League, and the Patriot League is very familiar with him. First-year head coach Mike Murphy spent the last 7 as an assistant at West Point. Coach Murphy, well, welcome back to the Patriot League. You never really left, but congratulations on your job at Colgate, and welcome aboard the call for the first time.
James, you're not giving me enough credit. I spent 8 years on the banks of the Hudson.
Oh, 8 years. I apologize.
So you're either going to shortchange Coach Emma or you're shortchanging Coach Alvarez.
My apologies. 8 years, Coach.
That's okay. No, I'm excited. When my family and I arrived in Hamilton, one of the things that I was the most excited was to meet my team. I think I've got a great group of senior leaders that is reflected in Kevin Gordon and Jeff Ledwig, and those guys have done a great job of buy into the things that myself and my staff have preached to them early on. But it's also a situation for me. I was very fortunate to come to a program that was left, in a great state of being. Jim Nagel did a fantastic job here for 10 seasons. So when I got here, there was not a lot of things to change. You try to put your own personal stamp on some things, and I watched a great guy do that. And spending 6 years with Joe Alvarez at West Point when he came over and took over for a guy like Jack Emmer. So I got some good tutelage on how to do that. The administration has been great with us and allowing us to do a lot of different things. The good Lord's been good to us as far as the weather up here in the Great White North. We've had probably more practices outside than they've had in the past, so that's been good. And so the guys have been very, very excited as we got back. I think someone else said we started week 2 on Monday, came back a week early from classes and had kind of training camp, a couple days of 2-a-days, and then some singles, but then not having the guys having to worry about class. It was very much a training camp situation, a chance for the guys to get some camaraderie, not having to worry about the class situations and stuff like that. So it's been good. I know the guys were very, very excited to get started with classes on Monday. So we're kind of getting back into a more normal routine of afternoon practices and those kind of things. So it's been a lot of fun, and the guys have been great. Not only throughout the fall, but especially through this beginning of the spring season.
Coach, by accidentally shortchanging you 1 year on your experience in Army, actually made you a year younger. So look at it.
Well, I could always use that.
My first question for you, as I've asked all the coaches, about your early part of your schedule, and actually you played 4 out of 5 to start in Hamilton. So knock on wood, hopefully things stay pretty well up there for you in the Great White North.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be an interesting scenario for us as we play, the top 3, the first 3 games at home. I think this weekend will be a good weekend for us as we travel down to Delaware. Having learned from 2 of the best, you practice everything. So we're going to get our practice in on traveling and how we travel as a team. And, as we look at the Delaware trip as a business trip, we're going down there to take on a team that was a tournament team in itself. Had a sneaky great game against Duke in the first round. So I know that they graduate a lot defensively, but they bring back a ton of guys on offense. So that'll be a great challenge for us as we kick off, 2012 with our first look at, an opponent. And to be honest with you, and I know it's coach speak, but I'm looking at Delaware right now, but my main focus has been the Bryant Bulldogs.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Any questions from our media contingent on the call for Coach Mike Murphy at Colgate?
Mike, it's Gary Lambrecht from Lacrosse Magazine. I wanted to ask you about making a switch from a service academy with the obvious, type of guy that you're going to coach from day to day, the types of demands that demand that they be, extremely tough-minded kind of guys. I mean, how much of a culture switch is that going to a non-service academy? And I mean, how much of the culture do you want to try to bring with you and sort of, impose it in your new place?
Well, I think, what I learned in 8 years, at West Point was that those kids, have an intrinsic motivation to be more than just, Joe or Jane college student. And what I found when I got here to Colgate was a lot of the same things. This is an outstanding academic institution, and the young people that are here, are doing wonderful things once they graduate, and the same can be said for my lacrosse players. And I think the biggest cultural thing for me was, maybe the first faculty meeting that I went to, when teachers are coming in with, full beards and jeans on and not uniforms. That is probably the biggest, shot for me. I was looking for, Colonel Johnson or General so-and-so to come walking in a staff meeting, and it's just not that way at a liberal arts institution. So, that's been an interesting thing, and, a smaller school that, takes its academics very seriously. It's very similar to West Point. Either shockingly or not shockingly, the guys are in their classes, and they're not up at 6:30 and running around all day like our guys were at West Point. But they still have the same academic rigors in terms of senior seminars and labs and those kind of things. And having a smaller school, it's not like our guys can sign up for any freshman biology class. There's only a certain number of classes that are offered. So, our practice time isn't like we're practicing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and we're done and guys are getting out of classes and those kind of things. Guys still come late from class. So I think that's been a little bit of a change. That the academy is the way that they look at athletics. They block off that time for those guys, and for the most part, they're untouchable. One of the things that I've had to deal with is, changing the schedule a little bit from here to there to, take care of guys that are going to come late from class and have a lab and have to leave early and those kind of things. So, that's been a patience thing for me to, understand the animal that is Colgate. But we've done a good job of it, and the support that we've gotten from, the teachers and the faculty has been, outstanding. Teachers reaching out to me and telling me that my young guys are doing a good job. We had 18 guys in this fall semester that made the academic honor roll here, which is a 3.25 or above. So, my guys are not only getting it done on the lacrosse field, but they're really getting it done in the classroom.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach. Ken McMillan with the Times-Herald Record.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
Good. Congratulations on the new job up there.
Thank you very much.
I came in just a few minutes late here, so I don't know whether you addressed this or not yet. But, what are your thoughts about, leaving West Point? And is it going to be kind of strange facing them on the sideline this year?
Oh, it'll be very strange, Ken. It was funny. Someone was asking me early on when I got this job. I actually made a series of phone calls to some of my current players here at Colgate, and I was in the stadium at Mikey Stadium, and I happened just to turn around and look at the box, and I spent 8 years as you're looking at the east stands on that right side, directing traffic for Coach Alberisi and Coach Emmer, and I looked over to the left side and said, man, it's going to be a different, much different vantage point, coming, sitting on that sidelines and coming out of that visiting team locker room. I know not to bang my head on the scorer's table, so that'll be good. So I'll at least know that for my players. But I definitely think it'll be a big game for us, not only because it's Army, and they're I think one of the prides of the Patriot League, but, for my family as well.
Can you tell me what you took from Coach Alberisi and Coach Emmer to make you the head coach that you are now?
Everything. Practice preparation, your professionalism with your players, the personalization with your players. I think that Coach Alberisi, the way that he's just opened up his family to the guys throughout, his soon-to-be 7 years there on the banks of the Hudson, the everyday dealings with players, the faculty there. Every day that I sit down and I write up practice on my practice card, and in the units on the unit page, and looking through the playbook as we put our own playbook together here, and change some terminologies, and everything that I have here and that I employ to my guys here at Colgate, is a product of what I learned from Joe Alberici and Jack Emmer and even Mike Caravan at Denison. I was fortunate enough to give a talk at the IMLCA convention this year, about relationships. And I think that the biggest thing that I learned from those three gentlemen, as well as the other gentlemen that I've worked at, is the developing of relationships with your players. And that's been very, very important. And then, when it comes down to it, I learned lacrosse from three great men, and Mike Caravana, Jack Emmer, and Joe Alberici. They're three unbelievable coaches that I think, have forgotten more about lacrosse than I know. So, I've got a lot of notes, and, heck, going back from notebooks from 2003 and the first practice and looking at and to see what things we did then, and even looking back at last year, and how you address a team. My notes from meetings that Coach Alberici had with guys, and the right things to say. So, Ken, it's a long-winded answer, but I think my first statement was true. Is I took everything from those guys, and if I can be half the coach that those three men, as well as Jim Fritz, at Queens in Division II, and John Dodd, who was my head coach at Wingate, I think we'll be a successful staff.
Mike, how's it been as far as the transition goes to making this your own team, running the things that you want to run, employing what Colgate ran in the past versus what Army's been doing? I mean, you're obviously not going to be Army North, so do you have any early indications of how you're going to coach?
Well, I'd like to be Army North if we could, because they've been playing great defense for a long time, and they've had some prolific offensive scorers. So we're going to do our own thing. We've got some different players. We don't have anybody like somebody big and strong on the corner like Garrett Thule, but we've got our own guys. I've been very, very impressed. With again our senior leadership of Kevin Gordon and Jeff Ledwig. Kevin's been a phenomenal player for us in this early part of the season, as we moved him from short stick D-midi to long pole. Kevin just makes plays, and he's got a very good offensive sense of when to push transition and those kind of things. And again, what I took from Coach Alberici, and even a lot of the other coaches in the Patriot League, having watched those guys, guys like Kevin Cassis and Terry Mangan, the guys that have been here the longest. You learn that we all have a certain type of athlete in the Patriot League, and I think we're trying to stress, we want to be the best Colgate team that we can be. We're never going to be, we're not going to be Army, we're not going to be Navy, we're going to be the best Colgate team. And that can all start with a phenomenal player in Peter Baum, and I know they did a lot of different things with Peter last year, playing him in the midfield, playing him at the attack, and we'll institute some of those things, because I think you want to have your best player on the field as much as you can. But Pete, has really solidified himself, as a great player in the country. So it also helps when a guy like that is your hardest worker. He's bringing guys down to the facility, the indoor facility, to get extra shooting in, and doing that kind of stuff. So as we look at it, and we put our own stamp on it. We're going to try to, just do the things that we know how to do. And I think that we've been doing a good job of that right now. And as, the other coaches have mentioned, we're trying to get better every day. And you sit down and you look at the week of practice, and, Monday was pretty good. Yesterday was okay. And then, as I said to the guys, I think we gave one back a little bit. So as we look at Wednesday, we want to win today, as we get ready for the Blue Hens of Delaware. And the guys are doing a good job of that. I think one of the things that I've been the most impressed with, is when I sat down with the group and I said, guys, you just can't dip a toe in. You got to be dedicated to, all the things that we're doing, and your commitment to each other, on and off the field.
Thanks, Mike. Good luck up there.
Thank you.